Hey everyone, it is Liz, and I am back to do another reading. This is a political reading, and I had noticed a lot of people messaging me, emailing me about the new voting law in Georgia, which unfortunately is quite racist. It's literally voter suppression. And what I did was I took some notes because I wanted to take a look to see how this would affect this law, how it will affect not just everybody, but especially, right, the Republicans. We want to know, is this going to be good for them or not? At least I want to know. According to a couple of emails, I got a couple of emails and people asking me. So basically, what's going on? Well, what is happening is um, I want to know what the repercussions of the Republican Party will be with the Georgia voting law, which literally restricts voting access in the state. It is it's more rigid voter ID requirements for absentee balloting. Again, it's limiting, this is crazy, limiting drop boxes and expanding the legislature's power over elections. Okay. It's not just, with the lines, they're not letting people pass out water or food. This is just archaic and evil. And so it's the most extensive contraction of voting access in generations, and literally it's appeasing the conservative base, really, and also the Trumpian people, the people who are all about Trump and the racism, the greed. Now, what I find most appalling is that Iowa already passed a similar law, which for some reason I don't remember, but I guess they did. And now the GOP, what they're doing is they're moving forward to restrict voting, right? In other states, Arizona, Florida, and Texas. Okay. And what else did I write down here? So what I was looking at also was what's remaining in place. The thing that was, I think, that was supposed to be the good part of this new law, was that what's remaining in place. So there's no ban on Sunday voting, which they were thinking about banning, which, in my mind was an attempt to somehow curtail the role of Black churches. And so that's not going to happen. They can still vote on Sundays. The no excuse absentee voting, where voters do not have to provide a rationale or a reason for casting a ballot by mail. But the new restrictions involve that they need to provide a state issued ID card. So this is literally voter suppression. So what I did was, again, I wanted to see how this law is going to affect the Republican Party. So I found myself using a couple of different decks. Let's see, the first deck I'm using is what I started with when I was a teenager. This is the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck. Some people say Thoth, some people say Toth. I want to get it into the light. There you go. I've had this deck since I was really young. But it's a beautiful deck. It's Aleister Crowley Thoth deck. And then, of course, I am using my Sibylla Oracle cards. And this is what the cover looks like in this deck. And so what we're doing is, again, I'm just looking to see what's going to happen to the party, the GOP, and how it affects them. So the first card I pulled, first couple of cards, the first card I pulled was that of the recent past, which is the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands is absolutely, it's conflict, it's strife. This is infighting in the party. There has been, I think in the recent past, they wanted to create this conflict. I believe, that whatever they can do to suppress, Democratic votes, whatever they can do to suppress votes of people of color, the elderly, people that are disabled, all of that. It's disgraceful. And that's kind of what this is about, is that they wanted to create this strife, and that's the Five of Wands. And clarifying and interesting, it's the dark-haired man, which means that, he is seeing the dark-haired man. So you can see the dark-haired man. He is seen as someone who is, has morals and ethics. He's hardworking. He is someone who is very helpful. So in the recent past, to me, it feels like there have been, I think of dark-haired men. I think of like Josh Hawley, and Ted Cruz, who try to pretend to be something that they're not. And that there's been, even, like I said, I feel like they've been putting this has been going on, I think, since before the insurrection. Like I said, I think what I read in one of the articles I read was that this is something that's been going on since the election. So moving into where they are right now, you have this current energy of the Eight of Cups, which is, where they all are now. Now, the Eight of Cups in general is a card of feeling emotionally drained, people walking away, feeling like they need to get away from something that is just unhealthy. In this scenario, take a look. This is the Eight of Cups. With them in their current state of mind, there seems to be like this internal swamp of people, that are corrupt. That's literally what I see with this current card. It's corruption. It's a feeling of, it's very phony. It's a phony, people that just are in there. I think they're put, I believe that currently, I don't know if they're recognizing it, but I believe that some of these Republicans will be putting their careers in jeopardy, because the clarification card, it isn't a bad card, but it is the card of the sweetheart. They think they see this law as good news. That's how they see this law, this new voting law, which again is already in Iowa and moving to Arizona, Texas, and Florida. So their corrupted thinking in their mind is sweet. It's a good idea. It's going to work for them. So they're just not really, I don't think they understand that. They think that they're cleaning up the swamp. They're not. They're the swamp. They're the mess. Excuse me, guys. They are so corrupt. I mean, I don't think that the hypocrisy of the GOP is what blows my mind. Now, moving into their immediate future, as far as what's happening to them in their immediate future, it's interesting because they've got this Princess of Swords, and she is all about, someone who is spewing really hateful rhetoric, someone who is like competing for something. This is someone, they're polemic, and what I mean by that is they're deliberately undermining not just opposing forces, but they're deliberately undermining our Constitution. Okay, that's the Princess of Swords in this scenario here. How it's an air sign vibration. They're coming on really strong. I want you guys to see the card. It's coming on strong. It's kind of, this Princess of Swords wants to just create problems, and they are, it's contentious rhetoric. That's how I see this. It's very contentious, dangerous rhetoric that they're spewing right now. Lies, and they don't care who they hurt, because the clarification card is a lot of money reversed, which is all about declining finances, income. It's not so disposable anymore. It's like hidden costs. It's like what they're doing right now. I don't think that they recognize with this, a loss of money has more power to it. It means it's not just losing money, you're losing power. So what happens is, in their immediate future, what they're going to notice, I believe, is that there will be more contentious rhetoric in the party. There will be more infighting in the party. I believe there's going to be a lot of people losing money, or losing, it's not, they're losing money, but they're also losing constituents. They're losing support. This is what's happening. And moving into the activation vibration, it's interesting because this is like, their action, it's calculated. It's all it's like they're deliberately separating. It's a separating vibration. It's a calculated plan. That's the Two of Swords. They are deliberately trying to separate people. They are deliberately creating, with the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords is stagnation. It can mean, in this deck it says peace, but in this scenario, it's not peaceful. It's stagnation. It's not really a peaceful time, because they are deliberately creating, in my mind, a polarization of thoughts. It's very divisive. And clarifying it is then I'm not surprised, the card of absence, which is someone who is not only regretting their actions, but they're breaking with, there's a lot of, I don't know, I think a lot of constituents are going to be breaking away from the party. They're deliberately distancing themselves from the party. I feel like a lot of the GOP, even those in office, maybe they're not speaking it, but there's regret here. It's a very lonely vibration where they're feeling a sting, the emotional pain. That's this card of absence, okay? Clarifying the card of the Two of Swords, which again, think about it, this cold calculating plan that they've done, what's coming into their energy as far as the action, is that they're not, some are not getting it. There's still a lot of them, like I'm thinking Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Jim Jordan, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, God, who's that other, there's so many of them, Rob something, there's like a whole group of them that are undermining, the Constitution. And what happens is it's going to create, they're going to regret a lot of things. But I think what they're going to regret most is that they are deliberately suppressing votes. And it's going to hit them hard in the future, because what they have coming up is how it's affecting other people, how other people are affected by them and vice versa. And they've got the very unpleasant Seven of Swords, which is futility. This is literally, in this scenario, it's tricking people. It's like trying to get away with something, it's a very insincere deception, obviously. These are lies, deliberate deception with the Seven of Swords. Futility is deliberately trying to confuse the people, and so they're still at it. But I also believe that with the clarification card of the pastime or pleasant pastimes, in this scenario, there's a division, there's this feeling of, here we go. Take a look at pleasant pastimes. I believe that some of these Republicans, especially, people around them, how they're affecting their environment and vice versa, is, there's a lot of insincerity going on. There's a lot of lies. There's a lot of trickery going on within this party. And with this pleasant pastime, it can be parties and celebrations, but I also feel like, they're being underhanded deliberately. It's almost like what I can see in the future is, especially with this card of other people, is that there are still people, who are being deliberately deceptive and deliberately tricking people. And this causes more problems for them, because with the hopes and fears vibration, you have the card of disappointment, the card of the Five of Cups, which is a vibration of, they're worried that they're going to lose what they want. They're worried that with the Five of Cups, that they let everybody down, that they're let down. They're not appreciating what they have. They do have power, but they also still work for us, right? These governors and these senators and all these Republicans, these Congress, they all work for us. And so, there's a reconciliation vibration going on with the hopes and fears, which is, clarifying the Five of Cups. So there's this hope that with the GOP, that they can somehow come together and bring everybody together. I think what they fear, actually, is that there's a reaching out, reaching across the aisle, which is what President Biden wants. And that's their biggest fear. And think about it, showing up in the future, even though it's hopes and fears, it literally means that somewhere could be maybe around, maybe even the fall, the autumn, or who knows when. I just feel like it's maybe the end of the summer, but there's some type of like more infighting. And the disappointment comes from that possibly some Republicans are reaching out across the aisle. Some want to, and some are afraid of how others will react. However, the outcome of this reading, as far as how the GOP will be affected by this new voting law, you've got this Seven of Wands, which is conflict over, it's overreacting, it's aggression, it's serious aggression from other people. This is a very aggressive card because they're losing. This is the card of losing in their position. If they're becoming more aggressive, think about it. If the GOP are becoming more aggressive, Seven of Wands is being very aggressive, standing your ground. But in this scenario, it's not just aggression. They're receiving. A lot of GOP are receiving. These Republicans are starting to receive people, constituents, fighting back, saying, this is not good. They might think that their constituents are overreacting, but we're not. And it's interesting because they might fight back, or they might try to fight back, but it's interesting because they have the card of the flatterer, which is BSing somebody for a favor. You know, so you may find or hear that in the future, with the Seven of Wands being a very contentious vibration, you know, when it comes to infighting and conflict. And I do believe that people that are opposing these voting laws, by the way, everyone that's opposing, I'm an independent, but whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent or a liberal or whatever you are, you know, at the end of the day, there are more people opposing this than not. And it seems to me with this card of flatterer, you know, that what they're doing is they're trying to appease people, but there's doubts here. There's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of doubts. There seems to be, like, whatever I sense with the flatterer, you know, there is someone in the Republican Party flattering or complimenting the people that they normally wouldn't compliment, but they're being deceptive. You know, it's not earnest. It's not, you know, it's like they have an ulterior motive. So I would say, you know, that this is more trouble for the GOP, that there's going to be a separation of the party. I believe that in their immediate future, there will be more disputes and more fighting. This underhanding behavior will eventually become hateful rhetoric, which will be a decline in the GOP. Okay. Now, I did pull, you know, from the bottom of the Thoth deck just to see what it said here, and I got the Eon. And the Eon is kind of like judgment. You know, it's renewal, it's fresh beginnings, it's outmoded ideas that are diminished, you know. So this idea of this voting law, somehow I believe, will be, because it's diminished, it's diminishing all of us as human beings, as Americans, you know. And I believe that there's going to be a good fight. I think that there's going to be like a liberation of this law, or something's going to be changed, because it's kind of like reorientation and liberation, and it's a very powerful vibration with this card of the Eon, which is like judgment. The vibration definitely indicates that there's a renewal, a new beginning. And then the other card at the bottom of the Sibylla deck, which I found interesting, was that of absence, which is literally something that exasperates people. You know, it's a waiting period where people don't want to wait around anymore. It's a vibration of loss, somebody walking away. You know, this is the bottom card here. Again, this is absence. So my feeling is that, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, 10 of Cups. In this card especially, because it indicates, especially clarifying this reading, you know, that with the Eon and excuse me guys for coughing, with the absence card and the Eon, there is this renewal, there is this a desire for a new beginning, okay? And there will be people that walk away from this idea of voter suppression. And so there's a fight ahead, and I don't believe the GOP will be happy with the outcome, and I don't believe they're going to get everything they want. And I still believe that there's going to be more of a separation or a breakup in the GOP. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But to me, it just seems like what they're doing, you know, for themselves in the end doesn't work for them. Okay. So I'm going to stop the video here. If you guys want to book a reading, I will post my information, my link below, so you can just book a reading. I'm running a few specials right now. And If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do. And if you like the video, please hit the like button. And I am trying to get my channel to 1,800 subscribers. So if I get up to 1,800 subscribers, then I will give away I will choose 2 random subscribers to receive a 15-minute reading with me by phone. So share, like, let your friends know. If you have any questions that you want me to answer, any political questions, please email me and I'll supply that below. You can message me here, and stay safe, everybody, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Stay safe. Bye-bye.